Consistent self-improvement, everybody. You are now tuning in to American Gypsy Podcast. I am Classic Carpenter, and I am here with my co-host,
Gypsy.
And we also have a special guest today by the name of Mercedes. We're going to allow Mercedes to introduce herself, and she's a great friend of the family. We go back to Jackson, Mississippi, and, we come up in the same movement. So we're going to, introduce Mercedes and let her tell us a little bit about what she do and,
Go from there?
Go from there.
All right. Well, thank you, Gypsy. Thank you, Classic. I think we're all in the same accord when we talk about consistent self-improvement. This is what it's all about. Getting together and expressing ideas in a energetic environment. And I can say good vibes only here. So just a little bit about myself, I would say I'm good energy. That's me. That's my introduction.
Always been.
Yeah. And I'm a bit of a nomad, so I fit right into the theme of a gypsy, whatever that looks like. A lot of people refer to me as like a modern day Carmen Sandiego type vibe. Me, myself, I prefer to really align myself with the idea of like maybe a Zora Neale Hurston, like a real Africana anthropologist that maybe doesn't always get that sort of credit. She's a great writer, but she was also an amazing explorer. And so that's what I seek to do in life, is just be like an adventurer and an explorer.
Okay. Carmen Sandiego. So she just told y'all how old we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe not.
How old some of us are. But yeah, Carmen Sandiego is like, when you said it, I was like, wow, Carmen Sandiego, it's been a minute. And I'm trying to think all the way what the plot was. She was the villain, right?
Uh-huh.
Yes, and they were always trying to find her. Yeah.
Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
Yeah.
She always be off in another country or
not
another
familiar
location.
with that cartoon.
No,
That's not
at all.
No, you had to be really good in geography, because if you got to the end of the show, like as a contestant, because that was the whole piece.
Yeah,
it was like a game
more
show.
Learning, right?
So once you got to the end, they would give you like, let's just say Africa, the whole continent, and then you had to place flags on each of the countries within there. And then if you did, you would win. But if you didn't, then Carmen would be gone and somebody else would have to try to find her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I would have loved that.
It was super cool.
Man, that takes me back.
Yeah.
So that's, even of course, with going back, Carmen Sandiego, Jackson, Mississippi. I mentioned that earlier. We just recently had our visit to Jackson, and we've been, one of our first trips driving back across country without moving, but just driving across country and moving. We'd like to talk a little bit about traveling, because all three of us love traveling. And let me see, since the pandemic, when did you go to Barbados?
I went in September of 2020.
September of 2020. Okay.
Yeah. And it was dope.
After, I guess that's, traveling after the pandemic, what's that like for you?
Well, you know what? It was actually like smack
in it.
dab in whatever the pandemic is supposed to be, right? Because here in LA, our offices of the employer that I was with shut down March, right? Because that's when the whole state mandate happened. And so we went to working from home in March. And at that time, it was still like a mystery, right? Mm-hmm. How was it going to work? What it looked like? Airports closing, countries closing their borders. So then it even turned into like being a traveler versus like you can't even travel. Like you don't even have the option. Whether you have a passport or not, you can't go. And that didn't create anxiety in March, because I was still traveling interstate, right? So I was still going to like a couple of places, Texas, Louisiana. I think I was in Chicago. And then it was like a whole shutdown, because then COVID sort of like spread everywhere and no one was traveling. The airlines were supposedly losing money, but we know they got a whole bunch of money and got bailed out by the billions. But whatever. I just said I have to be able to still move how I'm accustomed to moving. And as the months went by, it started to feel like everything was becoming a sense of isolation, right? Yeah. I started to feel it. And potentially it could have been just my own mindset, but I started to feel really closed in. Even like just being in the house, it just felt like, okay, yeah, I'm going to the beach or I'm walking the dog or whatever, but I'm not really going too many places. And then after several police state-sponsored murders, but specifically George Floyd, I really started to feel kind of way. Like, not only am I inside, but they're like pressing, showing this murder repeatedly every single day. And I just needed to go, you know. And so by late July, early August, I made a decision like, okay, let's see what countries are open, right? And it was like not that many. It was like really not that many.
Really
it was really closed down a lot of places. And I remember looking at, and one of them was like Albania. I was like, okay, I do want to go, but I'm not going to Albania. Because it doesn't meet my criteria. Because my criteria was warm and it was around people that looked like me. It didn't have to be the language. Like, I would figure out the language, but at least needed to be around like warmth, water, and people of African descent. Yeah. So Barbados came into play because it was still an option. They had low numbers at the time, and you had to quarantine for like 7 days, wherever they said, like, you had a few options of like mainly resorts and hotels. So you had to be able to incur the expense of quarantining.
So you at least have to go there for 2 weeks if you want to travel.
Right, exactly. Okay. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to be there and then I can just go. Okay. You know, from the airport, it's a whole bunch of, it's a process. So I'll take you guys through that. But anyway, narrowed it down to a few places, but ended up with Barbados because I was like, okay, we can swing this. I was traveling with my partner as well. And the other option was to like quarantine at like one of their army barracks. You could go there for free. But it was a little bit tricky because you didn't get privacy. It was like a whole bunch of cots and, no doors or whatever. I still needed to work. So that's why I went back to the resort piece. So anyway, long story short, I researched as much as possible. I mean, that's what the internet is good for, but nothing is going to be able to tell you but the experience. And we traveled.
How was it getting internet connection working in a different country? That's something I'm really curious about. I do want to work in different countries.
That's a great question. And that was actually one of the other reasons why I chose Barbados, because they have great internet. And that's not something that, is advertised a lot, but looking into the research, it was like, you can get this, or this as far as your speed. Okay. And what they were also attempting to do was recruit, because they were suffering economically due to the loss of tourism. Right. So one of their workarounds was to step up their level of connectivity and let people know, hey, if you do want to come and work from home, you will have good internet. Yeah. All right. So that's one piece, but also it's still a Caribbean nation. And it's no dish to Caribbean nations, but one thing that happened to me the second day that I was there, I was like trying to get online and there was no power. And I was like, oh, what happened? So I went down to the Airbnb host and I was like, where's the switch? Here we just flip the switch and it comes back on. Yeah. He was like, no, the power's out. It's going to be out.
Yeah, they don't know.
Yeah,
I'm used to that from back home. Like, things go out. You'll be in the middle of a restaurant. But most places have generators.
Right. It was like, this is what it is here. Mm-hmm. So it should come back on in an hour. And I was like, okay, this is my new normal. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not going to have a meltdown about it.
And for those that don't know where your back home is.
I'm Eritrean, but I grew up in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa, the capital.
Got it.
For reference.
So yeah, I mean that was one of those things. But just to orient you through the process, let me walk you through it. So when we landed in Chicago, which was the hub that we were flying to go to Canada, and from Canada to go to Barbados, you couldn't get on the plane unless you had proof that you were COVID negative, right? And you had to have taken that test within 48 hours, right? So, okay, showed the proof. And then you had to also demonstrate that you had connected with the right government officials, because there was a whole lot of paperwork to even get in there. So, all right, good. Then, because we were going from Canada to Barbados, Americans weren't allowed to be in Canada at the time, right?
Wow.
So the travel agent, the gate agent, she at the front of the line before you go on the plane and go to Canada, is saying, well, you're not allowed to be in the country. And I said, yeah, but I'm catching a connecting flight and it's less than 24 hours. And we already have hotel reservations to stay, because there's a couple of hotels that are connected to the airport where we were flying in. So she's like, well, I have to call Border Patrol. So it's one of those things, like, you really are here. Like, you think that you just have the ease of flying like normal.
But they sold you the ticket, though, so...
That's my other thing. But again, research is key, right? Because I had already read this, and I called the Border Patrol. I called the hotel. I called all these people, because I'm like, I don't want to get stranded. Yeah. And then what?
I was going to say, why did you go all the way to Canada? And that seems
that was you had to go. That was your only, us. That was one of our only entry routes.
Okay.
The other way was like a whole 2 days extra. And it was, so it had to be that way. But what the woman at the gate was saying was, you should have never been able to purchase this ticket.
Right.
Okay.
Right? Like, because you should be able to go and then connect, but you can't stay overnight.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I always believe there's a yes to a no.
Why?
Oh, definitely. Man.
Right? I'm one of those people, it's hard, because I'm sure there are some hard no's.
Yeah.
But I don't live like that.
And I've been in the airport and then found out, look, all right, it's on me. It's all up to me.
Yeah.
You got one guy saying, it's too late, man. And the other guy saying, man, just go. So it's like, well, shit.
I'm going.
It's 50-50 on them. All right, let me just go. Yeah. And that's, I made it.
Yeah. And we landed in Toronto, right? And when we got to customs, the custom guy was like, where are you going? I said, we're going to our hotel. And he's like, okay, I got to look into this, right? And he made some calls, and he was like, okay, but you need to be out by 7 a.m, and you cannot leave out the hotel. Don't get on the trains. Don't go anywhere. Just go to your hotel and stay there. And my guy is looking at me like, what do you have me in? Like, right? Because this is regular for me, but he's kind of like, okay, you got the customs people, you got the gate agent. Like, I knew you said it was going to be a lot, but this is turning into some other stuff. But we made it. Yeah. We made it, and that was a cool thing.
Yes, Mrs. Wick.
Right, like one of those things, right? And so when we flew into Barbados, I had got the painter suit. I was like, we're traveling during COVID, we got to zip up, right? So we had the painter suit, we had the regular mask, the N95, bandanas up to here, hoodies. Like, when we got off the plane, the people of Barbados was looking like, what's going on, right? Everybody else is just traveling regular. You we had the foot covers over the shoe, right?
Oh, wow.
So...
prepared.
Yeah, because you don't know, right? Yeah. You still don't know what you're going on to. And one person was like, can I ask you something? Are you with some sort of lab? Are you scientist? Are you with the government? They're like, no, we're just trying to be safe. So, when we got outside and we were waiting for our ride, because again, you couldn't go and just grab a car or a taxi or whatever. You had to have the pass to show where you were going, and then you had to ride in that specific van. So even down to that, like, they had to check you in, and the guy who picked us up was like, you got to take all those clothes off. It's too hot for that. Like, you good, you here, you know. And then that, I think, was the first feeling of like, okay, we're home. Like, we're cool, you know. And from then on, from the moment we landed to really when we left, it was that feeling of being home. And of course, there were some complications and challenges.
That's always.
You know, but that's just life. But Barbados, I mean, I can talk about the water, the people, the sun, the food. But really, when I think about that time, it was just peace. Partially because I was committed to being peaceful, but also because that environment was that. And they were dealing with COVID in their own way as well. But it was still such a respite. Like, it was a mental, full, like, what you say, a self-care. It was a righteous act of self-care to go there and get away from all of that COVID shit that was being pushed on us here. Because there's no CNN. There's no NBC. There's no ABC.
Really?
You know.
It's the island life.
We got Xbox. We got Fire Stick. So we can choose what we're watching and, you know, watch their local news. But really, just even a break from the shit that they had with all the tickers. You remember, like, every channel you turn to, it would tell you how many people had died, how many people were hospitalized.
All the numbers.
You know, it was like enough of that.
Yeah, we try to stay away.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not a big television person, but like at that time, you were trying to figure out what's going on in the world. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a reason why Rihanna is from there, and they made her a national hero. It's a cool nation. I was glad that they welcomed us. Yeah,
that's what's up. Yeah, what was it like when you got back? Because you live here.
L.A.
Right.
Yeah.
And you travel still, you know, often.
Mm-hmm.
When you got back to L.A., what was that like?
We went to Mississippi first.
There you go.
Yeah. So we went to Jackson, and we were there for probably like about a month. And then we came back to L.A. But being back in the States was strange because you went from this real astute kind of like focus on health and safety in Barbados to Mississippi, where people were walking around with no mask.
Yeah.
And like together, like hardcore, you know, like in Barbados you could be together, but it was a limited number, you know. Even in a restaurant, the reservations were limited, right? Like, if you went to the bathroom, you had to have a mask on. I know a lot of people feel like a mask or no mask, what does it really even matter? But I mean, going into the grocery store, you did have to have a mask on, and there was somebody that was standing at the door to spray your hands with alcohol. Like, you know, so they were like taking it seriously. Yeah. Or even in certain stores, you had to write down your name and your address and phone number just in case someone came in with COVID. They would let you know, hey, this, you know?
Yeah.
And then just to get dropped back in Jackson, and it's like, nothing ever happened. It was kind of like weird. It was really weird. And I think we were both like, okay, we're not going anywhere. You know, we're just going to stay inside. And then it kind of did cause a little bit of an issue because, you know, L.A. is my birthplace. It's my home, but Jackson is like my second home.
Right.
And so when my friends knew that I was in town, they're like, okay, what's good? Like, what are we doing? Because they still been hanging and swinging, like
life as usual.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'll FaceTime you. You know, they're like, let's do a duo happy hour or some shit, and they're like, no, like let's meet up. And so at one point I said, okay, let's go out for drinks, and I was getting dressed, and my guy's like, where you going? Oh, I'm gonna meet. Like, I just don't think that's a good idea. I'm like, look, we gotta have a talk, because I can't live like shut in like this.
Yeah.
And I get the it's not even a fear factor. It's real. Like the more people that you come into contact with, the greater your chances are of, whatever this exposure is. But on the flip side, I do know people that never left their house and got COVID.
Right.
Yeah.
And people who were out like partying and didn't.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
it's still both ways.
Yeah.
There's so many ways, and it's just you don't know. Yeah.
And you can't let fear rule you.
Exactly.
In the fake idea of safety.
Yeah.
Because it's an illusion.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many situations since then that we still see with the court system, all of that, George Floyd, all of that. It's in the same bucket of safety that we would like.
Yeah.
But, it's the focus. What's the more of the focus? And it's a lot, even coming back, were you here when the riots and stuff were, or the?
No, I don't, again, because I don't know what part of the world I was in. I was in Louisiana when the riots were happening.
Okay, when they was doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
well,
it was
should say the rebellion.
So when you got back to LA, what was it? What was
everybody was masked up. It was still that state mandate of mask, and you couldn't go wherever, to the mall, to the hair person, to the massage.
Okay, they hadn't opened the gyms because they opened the gyms in March and stuff.
Yeah,
and all of that stuff. I guess salons.
Right. So it was just back to heavy quarantine, really. Because California as a state was treating it completely different than all of the other states.
Yeah. Still is.
Yeah. So now it's a few places
Los
that try.
Angeles is.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't want to take away from the theme of consistent self-improvement by really focusing too much on the pandemic.
But we're just kind of skipping through the time on the catch up.
We will. But the reason why I say that is because I have to be honest and say that part of what I was dealing with was not so much related to the policies around COVID and what you could or couldn't do. But it was something that I had never experienced before, and it was a sense of like anxiety. Yeah. There was a restlessness and anxiousness and uncertain. I was worried, and I'm not a worrier, but I was concerned about my guy going to the store or driving out of town or my dad coming back home or like my brothers. Like I started to just focus on that. And I don't know. It was such a foreign concept to have this like idea that something could happen to someone I love, because that's life. We're not guaranteed anything, but it was really around police and just not being safe in Black skin. And yes, things are happening to Black women as well, because that was also not too long after this big thing where they were focusing on missing Black women and girls, right? And like, be careful when you're walking to your car. And so it's like somebody's going to take you and put you into some sort of sex slavery or whatever. Like, what is going on in the world? Like, we got enough to deal with, and now I have to be concerned about whether my dad can drive to the grocery store or not and get pulled over and shot because he's a Black man in America.
And it's I guess when you get to that point, even just like when all of it was going on, it was it's what you pick your fears. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was like, them fears they've always been out there in the world. So
it's nothing new. In your skin, right?
Yeah, and it's hard to. It's hard because it's like, all right, I'm still in my skin. It can happen to me, but that's when it comes, I guess, vibration and attraction as well. Or I can't even say law of attraction. It can happen to anybody, but I don't let it rule me. I don't let it necessarily control my day, my fear, my vibration, my even just just my overall vibration. I don't hold that fear there and try not to hold that fear there. Yeah, I got 3 brothers too. Mm-hmm. It's worse where they are than it is here.
Right.
But, it's, like I said, it's there. And it's, they not really giving out anything to fix it. Mm-hmm. Even though we see them, kind of focusing on, nobody's really going to fix it. It's not really something that they're really interested in fixing. No. So it comes back to where we know that this is just what it's like in this skin.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm going to be scared, if it pull up on me, because I have that same understanding. And my wife know that, I don't really have a fear like that. So I could easily be in that situation because I'm not going to be too afraid. And I know I'm just not that afraid. Even when I see the police, I don't lock up. So he'll want to shoot me because I'm not going to be the bitch he want me to be, most likely.
Mm-hmm. Because the fear attracts the situation that you're fearing anyway. So
I think that was a key reason why I had to press the reset button, right? Mm-hmm. And just get out of here.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I was going in that direction that I'd never been in before. And,
we all are now.
There's that too.
Yeah.
But I knew based on environment. I think that's the other thing. It wasn't just America. It was where I live. I lived in a predominantly white area, right? So
you always know.
Yeah, you're aware of yourself. And you might even be hyper aware because it's not like all white people are trying to do something to you, right?
But they don't see that many black people. So when they do see you, they might, look, and in your brain, it's still going to run. Because like you said, if you're in a mostly black area, it's just like being in Mississippi. We black, we fit in with all the black people, but we don't stand out because we in a group of black people now. But when you're not in a group of black people, you unconsciously still have to have that. And it's like, maybe they just looking at us because
they just looking.
We do.
Yeah, but you know.
Yeah.
And that's why, you could take me to the grittiest, dirtiest, inner city hoodest, like most dangerous, whatever people like put these ideas or words or labels, but an area urban, and I'm at home. Like I'm not, I'm still aware, but
it's not your neighborhood.
No,
but
the world is a ghetto in many respects, right? I grew up in South Central LA. So when people say, oh, you travel by yourself or you're going there, you're doing that, I always say I'm from LA. And it's like, what does that mean? It means that I can walk anywhere, right? Like I could walk in downtown Philly at 2:00 in the morning and people are like, what are you doing? I'm from LA. I'm cool. I lived in New Orleans. Like
that's the same thing.
You know what I'm saying? I'm from Jackson at the same time. It doesn't mean that I'm welcoming like a rumble. Like I don't think anything can happen to me. But it just means that I'm not walking around with a spirit of fear.
Right.
But also I'm street smart enough to like recognize
that something could go down.
Okay. And when it does, to be able to move in a way to get out of here. Like, damn, I've been held up before. It's been shootings. It's like I'm not going to crumble if
you got that experience.
Yeah, like somebody show a gun like, oh, they got a gun? Yeah, like half of my classmates rode to school with pistols.
What's the situation? What the air smell like? What's going on? What's happening?
So
let me know.
To be in an area where black people, black skin, however you want to refer to it, were the majority, I did have an exhale. Because that wasn't what I was concerned about. Maybe I was concerned about the price of vegetables because they were extremely expensive there, right? So we had to talk about how are we budgeting. Like, okay, we got to look at this or that. But I wasn't worried about that policeman that's looking at you extra hard because you walked past this store or you went 5 miles over or you had an air freshener in your rear view and you're not allowed, you know, that wasn't the concern. It was like, you know, we give each other the eye contact and the head nod. And that was all day long.
Yeah.
Right? And if somebody didn't, that was the thing. Hey, they didn't nod their head back. Right? Like
people don't understand even just not having that stress where you live at, you know, not having certain stress. It's a better quality of life. You know, just like we live in LA. We're not worried about the police messing with us about weed. We just came from Mississippi. The whole drive over there, yes, you know, we going to a place where they worried about people who got weed. Texas, all of that, Louisiana, Mississippi. Them people living stressed out compared to how we living out here with just your everyday driving. If you smoke weed, basically, period. Or you just if you got to go buy some weed, or if you just, period, you stressing. People in LA not stressing about weed at all. Two different lifestyles. If you running out of weed in LA, in Mississippi, you.
I don't know how you would even run out of bud out here.
You just go back to the store. That's the thing.
Right, you
just get up and go to the store.
No, you don't even have to get up and go to the store.
Yeah, they can deliver it to you.
Right to you.
But over there, it's like, it's that process. You know, we remember that whole process, and it's like, it's a whole different quality of life.
Yeah, it is.
So if you got to really worry about a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
People don't, you know, like you said, anxiety. Yeah.
It's not even something that I tapped into. And maybe also because I smoke bud, the idea of being anxious, I don't even live in that world. Like, as a clinician that has background in therapy and cognitive behavior and understanding, you know, the type of solutions that can be offered to people, I am aware that anxiety exists and how to treat it. But me, Mercedes, that's not something that I ever really dealt with.
So you knew the situation was serious.
Yeah, when it came in, I was like, okay, this is something that you got to look at. But I wasn't. I was so, like, I guess it was a wall up, because I'm like, I don't even do anxiety. And what happened was, I was on the phone with my guy one night because he was in Jackson. And he just said, listen, I want to say this to you, and I'm saying it in love. But there's something off with you, you know. And I'm coming out there. I'm going to drive tomorrow. And I know how you feel about me driving, because, again, I was still with this, I don't want you to drive here, drive there, call me when you get there. It was like weird, like what's going on with me, right? I'm driving out there and I don't want to even talk about it. I'll just see you tomorrow. And so he did that kind of crazy driving you guys did with the 24-hour, like 36, whatever. Like, how'd you get here? But it impressed upon me the seriousness of the situation. And we had a one-on-one about it. And that's when I really started to talk about, I guess, what I was feeling, and connected to a lot of other situations of feeling helpless in the country that you know your ancestors built. Without a shadow of a doubt, it's no way around it. And to feel like, I don't know, not even a second-class citizen, not even a refugee, like just a person without a home in the place you know you constructed, along with being fearful of even walking in that home. It was a real moment of like, okay, all of those feelings are valid. You know what I mean? Because I started to talk about things that I've seen that have happened to my friends and family. And I think it was a two-part thing. It was me, Mercedes, recognizing what was going on, but also from a mental health piece, it was the true post-traumatic stress that we go through. And we don't even realize, because we are optimistic people, or we meditate, or we believe false evidence appearing real is fear, or if you think about it, it'll happen, don't worry about it. And all those things are true. but it doesn't change the fact that your brain is taking in all of the things that you've seen over the course of your life. Yeah. All of the things that you know. We're educated enough to know, like, we didn't even believe half of the shit that they taught us in school. We went out and got our own education. And so if you've seen strange fruit, you know Mississippi what strange fruit means. It doesn't mean bad fruit on an aisle. You know what I'm saying? It means our ancestors being lynched and hanging from trees. If you know what a picnic is, it's not when you go and get some food and sit outside. It's when they used to pick a nigga.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then lynch them and then take pieces of their body parts as souvenirs.
Yeah.
Some bullshit. And so being aware of that, as somebody that's dedicated their life to justice and peace, you realize what I realized was this shit is taking a toll on me.
Yeah.
That was it. It was like that moment. Like, you can't woosah your way out of this. Like,
it's genetic.
It's in you, right?
It's genetic now because, it'll come out, and that's the formula all the way from, like you said, the television. That's the formula that they're always working on to get you in that point to where you got to snap somewhere with some type of stress in one area. And you got to know how. You got to be able to kind of know it's genetic. It's from also environment, food wise, or even just from what you see. Mm-hmm. It's the energy that you absorbing from other people as well. And like I said, when it come back to, like you said, fear, it's one of the biggest brainwashes of all time, going back to our education. That they hit us at the education part with the school system part. So even just the whole fear of feeling like, shit, was everything I learned a lie? Or just was it accurate, or was it, because we still catching the whole American or Native American part too. Mm-hmm. That's a whole nother type of brain mix that they got in there. Mm-hmm. That where shit, as soon as you get a chance to learn about something or absorb some information, it gets you stressed, it wakes you up. You still living in this world. So you can't really break all the way free from it. You can learn the truth all the way up to it, and then that's still gonna hit you with some more bullshit. Mm-hmm. When it comes to, what I call the bullshit, they're gonna kill one of us. Mm-hmm. Even from the rap shit, the hip hop shit. I guess, with me being music-wise, understanding music industry-wise and how things work, and it was something that I was interested in, I've never really lost somebody, I guess, in our line dealing with bullshit off of anything. But I know, of course, the other industry have. But it's to know even that formula that's against us. When you're saying anxiety, mm-hmm. just like what Kanye said, the 808 don't hit, it's not hitting in your vibration. So the music that you're listening to, the bass kick that you're hitting, it's all in there too, mm-hmm. to give you that same anxiety. So it's I can't say it's impossible to get away from. You can really spiritually do as much research, or not, you can learn about it. You can meditate. You can find that peace. You can find that peace to live in it, but it's recycling. It's just, like I said, we just saw The Matrix the other day, and it's first time watching the movie the first day it came out. I think when the first one came out, me, my partner Dion Buchanan, I think Ed Robinson, we went and saw it the first day it came out. Mm-hmm. Back then, it was at 2000, 2001, maybe something like that. I think it might have been like 2001. So
I think so. Yeah, 2001.
But it basically kind of explains the Neo.
So I haven't seen The Matrix.
So the Neo, the anxiety. That's how we
only saw it because it was out on HBO Max, and I'm like, wait, what? Isn't it supposed to be in theater? But they released it at the same time in HBO Max.
Yeah, so they wanted us to see it.
Special confession to you guys. And
wait, you haven't seen part one? Seen
the original?
Oh, no.
Yes.
You haven't seen part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4?
This is something that I'm going to go ahead and just say. I catch a lot of flack for this, but...
We found one person.
You keep falling asleep on it?
No. Oh, okay. What happened is when it first came out, this is just me, but I was like, I don't want to watch that because everybody is watching.
Everybody.
Okay.
I've been in that similar
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then it felt like they're gonna like the aliens, when they come, they gonna take all of y'all who know the answer. But I'm gonna be good.
That's like when Black Panther came out, I was one of the last to go see it.
Yeah, that was.
So.
But yeah, Matrix, you definitely have to go see.
I know.
Oh man, yeah, you got.
I am gonna watch it. But you know what? When I was hearing you speak a minute ago, I was thinking about this. I wanted to ask you, when you came from Ethiopia to the States, you went to DC first? Or?
Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Oh, so night and day.
Yeah.
What was your feeling coming from a predominantly brown nation, if you will, and going somewhere that was so heavily Caucasian, like Minnesota?
Yeah. You know, it like that part didn't really hit me. Okay. It's weird.
How old were you when you came?
I was 10.
Okay.
And it was definitely a shocker. I've always wanted to come to America, and I watched a lot of American movies, and I was excited about coming here. And when I did get here, though, I don't know, like, there are things I guess I didn't expect, like lifestyle, like home life is a little bit different, and even school is different. So it was some adjustments, and I had to, I had a heavy accent when I came here, so I had to fix that and get made fun of. But I didn't notice the first school I went to, it had some diversity. Actually, the first 2 schools that I went to had a lot of diversity. So it was a special case. So I didn't quite feel like the race thing. But when I got to high school, we moved into the suburb that was predominantly white, and that's when I started feeling racism. It was only a handful of Black people, and I don't know, you just encounter different things that let you know, like, it wasn't even just the older people. It's like the students and everything. I'm like, that was weird. I'm like, wait a minute, we're all young, like, we don't, I expect older people, like, I don't know, they're closer, I guess, to slavery times and things like that. So I expect them to have some bias and things like that. But getting it from younger people is a little weird.
But the old people teach the young people.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
So, and until that,
and it's genetic for them as well.
Yeah, that's the other side of it. Because you brought up a key point when you talk about genetics, because it's in your DNA. You can tap back into something. It might not have happened to you. It might have happened to your great grandfather.
Generational trauma.
But it's there. Yeah. It's there underneath the surface. And so I feel like that's what got activated for me. And I was just in a whole different place where I didn't understand what was going on. You know what I'm saying?
But you still understood what was going on.
I knew something. I just didn't know what. And this isn't even something I really talk about that much. I'm talking to you guys about it because, we're fam. And even though it's a podcast, okay, whatever. But it was very private to me because it was so confusing, and it did take my partner to touch on it. And I spoke a little bit with my mom about it because she could see it was something going on, but she didn't know what it was. But I just, I was like, this is part of the other way that these impediments get put in the way of progress. Because once your mind is gone, that's it.
Man.
And I felt, like, it was a sense of like betrayal. Like, my mind is always strong. You know, when nothing else, you know, even if I might feel tired, my mind is like, you got this. Get up, keep pushing, don't give up.
Mm-hmm.
But my mind was on a loop of trauma. You know? It really was. That's just the best way that I could describe it.
Just wait till you see The Matrix 4.
Okay.
You got to see
We're
the
gonna
first
come back
one
and
first.
revisit. I'm gonna watch it before 2022. I've set my intention.
You got. That's gonna be about take your whole day to watch
I
about
got
4
time.
of them. They long.
I got time.
Yeah.
I got a little bit of time on my hands. There's certain things I've just said, you know what, I want to do this, and this is something that I'm going to do so that I can understand a little bit more, and also get a lot of this stuff that people are talking about that I don't understand with the Matrix references.
It's very
you know.
deep. Like, I was surprised with the fourth one, because usually movies go back, you know, by part 3, it usually goes downhill. So
Yeah.
I was expecting the fourth one to be not so good, but it's still pretty deep.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of different,
It's deep.
yeah. It helps you explore certain things. I like movies like that where you know certain concepts about life, but you don't, when you see it play out in a play or a movie, it helps you conceptualize it a little bit better.
I get you. Yeah.
And that's really what life is. So that's kind of what the movie is explaining. I don't know.
Because even when we
I'd
first
like to watch
watched it, my brain then, that was freshman college. We all about he dodging bullets. That's
Yeah,
That
that was
was
a big
all
thing, right?
That
Okay.
that
Yeah.
was entertainment wise. We didn't really get the deep part of the
The red
Matrix
pill.
Yeah.
until
red pill,
a
blue
bunch
pill,
of years.
all of
Yeah,
that.
a bunch of years later, I had to come back and wake myself up and then understand.
Got you.
The
Yeah.
Matrix.
Most people who watch Matrix watch it multiple times. Like, I've watched it probably at least 5-6 times.
Okay.
The first one.
Yeah.
I don't know about the second and third. I watched it a couple of times each, but it's the first one is one of those you have to come back. At least when I watched the first one, I was too young to understand some of the concepts. It was just a cool action movie.
Yeah.
But then when you watch it, as a grown up, and you go through different phases of enlightenment and
Spirituality.
you watch it, you get more out of it.
Yeah.
It's like that with a lot of things, actually. There's this one Deepak Chopra book that I read, and I've read it like 3 times, and each time I'm like,
Get something different.
I totally didn't understand it all the way the last time. Now I understand it better.
Got you.
So, yeah.
Yeah. For me, a big part of like healing that loop of trauma that I'm talking about was putting myself in a new environment that I didn't know anybody,
Yeah.
and having to kind of survive, right? Like even down to learning a new system of currency or, understanding. I mean, we walked everywhere. So not driving for months teaches you something about yourself, but also you get stronger, right? It's more exercise. So, learning different things like that, how to cook fish in a different way, because there's more, herbs and spices that are indigenous to that area that you can use to season things, and you like those flavors. Or, jet skiing, going out far, like further than probably smart, but like pushing what you think fear is.
Yeah.
Because it's like you go past that horizon, you can't see them at the shore and they can't see you. And my heart was beating super fast, right?
Yeah.
And my guy was like, don't go any further, but I just had to do it. Like, fuck it, we going. I floored it, you know what I'm saying? Floored it and we going. Like, I had to test that, push that limit. Because I needed to break through all of those things that were holding me back.
That's one thing traveling helps with. Like, a lot of things that I wouldn't do, like when I'm at home in my hometown, like I would definitely be up for when I'm traveling. Like, I get a little bit riskier and more adventurous. So, and I learn a lot. Like when you were saying, you learn different spices and different cooking methods. That's one of my favorite things about traveling. It's
Yeah.
like you learn different, like new vegetables, new spices, and new ways of cooking that you can incorporate into your everyday life. And even the like taking regular transportation and walking versus like always driving or things like that. You learn a lot. You get to meet different people and see what the local life is.
That's what it is.
That's the best way to learn the country and where you're at.
Right. Like we weren't Ubering.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We were on foot or, you know,
You get to see a lot more.
in the
visualize.
vans. Yeah. On the buses. You know, like just hanging out, dealing with, like I said, power outages, or seeing how, you know, they were making great use of solar energy because they get so much sun. So almost every home had some sort of solar panel or some sort of option. So that water for your shower was heated by that generator. On the days when maybe it was cloudy or it rained, your water wasn't going to be as hot.
Yeah.
But you knew that, so then it's like, okay, hey, don't take too long of a shower, or let's conserve, or we don't have to wash these dishes. You know, just being able to really focus on so much other stuff that's just related to your everyday survival, that's not about putting your life in the hands of what somebody else is or isn't going to do. Right? Like, I was thinking about a lot, Most Def, Black on Both Sides. You guys know at the beginning where he's like, it's a boogeyman in the sky. They try to tell you to fear this one or fear that.
I'm not familiar with
you
it.
know,
It's been a minute.
he has a little chant
I
at
love
the
that.
beginning. He says, fear not of man, because man must die. Mind over matter and soul before flesh. Angels keep the time. And that's a great song. It's the intro to Black on Both Sides. But I just had to stop thinking about people and start thinking about this experience.
Yeah.
You know,
Present.
just being
Be
present
present.
in the moment and tapping into the God within. Because everything that we need is already in us.
Yeah.
But when you're searching outside of yourself, right? Looking at your neighbors, looking at the news, looking at the numbers, looking at what you can't do, what you have to do. There's a food shortage. The gas is running out. The police gonna get you. You know what I'm saying? Tax man, whatever. Somebody's around the corner like this fake ass boogeyman. And it's just not true. Like, tap into the sunshine and the water
Yeah.
and your relationships with the people that are down and are your safe spaces where you can build, where you can talk, but also where you can put things into action. But really getting outside of the four walls was key.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Because the walls start to close in on you. And I wasn't even like idle. I was working, quote unquote, working, right? Still doing the laptop, whatever, turning in documents, meetings, teams, all that crap. But that was another cycle of like trauma, right? Because the workplace can be just as traumatic as the streets.
Yeah.
Especially in the
like what
corporate
you do,
nonprofit world, like where you think you're doing good, but you might not be doing as good as what you think.
Yeah. According to somebody else's standards.
Say that again.
Yeah.
Because that's really it. It's somebody else's standards.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Just shout out to the whole country of Barbados and specific to my boy Ricky and to Laura and a couple of people that just showed love, right? We had some really cool times, and we went all around the island. You know, we didn't stay in one place. We stayed in like 3 different areas.
Is it one island or does it have a couple of pieces?
One.
Okay.
Yep. So you can drive from the top to the bottom.
Okay.
Right. And it's not going to take a whole day. Yeah. You know, and each place has its own claim to fame or whatever. But overall, I'm a water person. You know, I know you guys like to go to the beach and tap into that.
Snorkeling also is a fear killer.
We went
When
snorkeling.
when you're in that ocean and you're just out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
fear killer. I like it.
Man, you come out of that water feeling a whole lot better. Like,
Yeah.
Ooh, land ain't that bad.
Yeah, seriously.
Right?
No, for real. Especially if you see something
telling
in there that caused you to
man.
get out. Like, wait, did you see that? What was that? Let's go.
I'm telling you, man,
Yeah.
I miss it though, man. It's been too long since I've been in the water.
Yeah, I haven't been probably about two months, maybe. Honestly, it's been a minute.
Oh yeah, it's been
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
2 months for us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same here.
Looking for that good day though to go.
Yeah.
Appreciate you for showing, feeling, good enough to share your experience, your anxiety experience. When you say you haven't shared it with too many people, haven't talked with anybody about it, we feel good to be able to help
Of course.
be some ears for that type of
You know what?
situation.
I didn't even plan on talking about that, right? Because there's so many other things I wanted to talk about as far as Barbados is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what came to me. You know what I'm saying? I guess when we started to just talk about these things, that's really what came up for me, is just sharing that, because I think like one of the great things that a podcast like this can do is create balance. And that's what was the problem. I was imbalanced, and I had to get back in tune. And so when people can tap into a space like this and hear us discussing these things, it might not even be people who look like us or from places like us.
Oh, it's
You know
even
what I'm
for me
saying?
myself. I'm here to learn
Yeah.
just from everybody I talk to. Even if I'm just talking to her,
Yeah.
we're still learning.
That's it.
So,
It's a
yeah.
circle right now, but this circle extends beyond this space. And I'm just grateful that you guys extended the opportunity. And it's something I want to continue to do, because I think when we really speak our truth, it's, first of all, it's freeing. But secondly, you're a testimony for someone else and you don't even know.
Yeah.
And that's the hope for me. I know, some of my friends are like, everybody can't just go to Barbados for 4 months.
Well, everybody just can't move to Los
You know
Angeles.
what I'm saying? Like,
know.
everybody not just gonna pick up one day and say, I'm going out of town. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. I am the person who will say, you know what, I'm gonna go to Mexico today. Like, what?
But
Yeah,
we used
but-
to be able to. We were some people that
Yeah.
couldn't. We was the everybody. We couldn't do it either. But hey, one day came and we had to say, all right, we are no longer that everybody. We are that person that can go. So I'd say, hey, you feel like you can't go, but hey, at least
Gotta
put it
speak
on
it
your
into
schedule.
existence.
Yeah, at
That's
least
right.
Want to go at least.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a Barbados. It could be somewhere in your
Los
vicinity.
Angeles or California.
Right.
Just
It could-
get outside of go
wherever. Just go 20 miles, right?
Yes.
Just drive. Just put yourself in a space that may make you uncomfortable, because that's when you grow.
Yeah.
from. Yeah.
And put yourself in a different environment, because that's when you grow.
And you build trust in yourself, because you see
Key.
yourself overcoming something and you're like, wow, okay, I can do that.
Mhm.
And you can reflect on it even in the future, like, okay, I did that, so I can definitely accomplish.
Yeah, and the more experience you have being in new situations, you get better at being in a new situations. You can still be in the same situation if you choose to, but you still have good experience being in a new situation. So when you could be in the same situation for 3 years, and then when the time comes where you need to be in a new situation, you at least have that know-how, what it's like. You got the drive. You're not scared. A lot of it is just fear. A lot of it is fear when people don't want to just put themselves in a new situation or just see a new city, cross a state line, or just to travel, get a passport, hop on a plane, and foundation is fear.
And, it's nothing wrong with being scared.
Nothing at all. But
I think that's the other thing. People are so afraid to admit that they're
admit
afraid,
it, at
right?
least.
Like,
Yes.
what we used to say, if you scared, say you scared.
Yeah.
And that, even just putting it out there, it's like acknowledging it, and then, to use your term, fear killer. You're gonna kill it. right? Like
Every time we go in the ocean, I'm scared. No
see what I'm
lie.
saying?
Every time. Every single time, I'm scared.
Even when you
I
said I
enjoy
can't
it.
wait to go back, I'm
Yeah, I'm like,
Lord,
but it's
I'm
still like a
scared.
nervousness with it. Like, you out there and like, man, woo, I hope
Yeah.
don't nothing swim up on us today. Because we've seen stuff swim
Yeah.
by. Whales, dolphins.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen them swim by. So it's more like, all right. But you see a lot of other people doing it. And of course, the more and more you do it, the more experience we got going out there. We
Yeah.
still scared.
Yeah, but you still go out
But-
there.
But we can't live without it.
Yeah.
At the same time, that's how we feel. Like, when we go, actually, just like her, wherever we going to, if it's some beach or, we can get in, we going to get in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's us. Mexico, we getting in.
Yeah.
She with the Catalina Island, hey, she getting in.
Because if not, you're going to look back at it and wish or wonder. Even if you don't say, I wish I did, I wonder what it would have been like if I had done that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I guess I'm telling all the business, but I will share this personal story about Barbados. My guy is not a big water person, or was not. He likes to look at it, but he's not big on getting in it.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, come on, like, let's go. We're gonna go here, we're gonna do this. He's like, okay, that's cool. I'm gonna just be right here. I'll put my feet in. And so one day I was like, what is the big deal with water? I know you told me you had this bad experience, or you alluded to a little bit. Maybe I just didn't tap in. Tell me again what happened. And so he told me about this time that happened. It was a real scary experience. He almost drowned, right? So from then on, he was like, I'm not going too far out. And I said, listen, on this trip, I want you to learn how to swim. That's my ask. And he was like, okay, let's do it. So we started with the swim lessons. And, my first swim lesson, I think I was like 5.
Yeah.
You had a little swim teacher. She did all this stuff. And we had a 12-foot pool. So my parents were really serious about safety. So I just always took whatever home we had, or even apartment, it was a pool. And if it wasn't a pool, it was a beach. So when I'm by the water, it's just natural. Like, I just throw myself in. Probably when it's probably too dangerous, I'll still be like, hey, the waves are hot, let's go out. So, on this particular day, I had found a location, and I said, all right, we're going to swim all the way out there. And he was like, there's no way I'm ever swimming out there. I was like, you're going to swim out there. So we went through the little introductory stuff, paddle, kick, float. And he had the essentials, it was just building on it. And so I was like, okay, let's go out a little bit more. Let's go out a little bit more. And by the end of the day, we were so far out, and he was having so much fun. I was having fun. We had on the snorkel gear, going down, whatever. And it was sandbars in between. So you really didn't know how far you were unless you looked back to the shore.
Yeah.
But we had just been going, because I'm just taking them further out. So then I said, turn around. And when he turned around, we were far. It was like, oh my God, how do we get out here, right? I'm like, because of these sandbars, you didn't know that you were going, because you standing, you don't realize how deep. I said, if you go off over there, you'll be down, And he was just so excited. Yeah. And it was one of those moments of like, if you don't focus on how far out you have to go, then you won't put that idea that you can't get there. Every long journey begins with one step.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm curious, when you got back, did he tremble?
If he did, he didn't let me see it, right? It might have been an internal thing, but I think it was pure adrenaline.
Right. Okay.
When you're...
I recently taught a friend of ours how to swim. It was a couple of months ago in the pool. Mm-hmm. And, when we can't, of course, the water's cold too.
Yeah.
But, the energy, he was excited, but he had a tremble and his body was just trembling for a minute.
Yeah.
But, sometimes that's like a energy buildup from that.
The nerves of it all.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know, it could have been, but like you said, when it's cold, you're shivering. So you don't know. It might have been there. But I mean, for the rest of our trip, it wasn't nothing. He was going out even when I'd be at work and he'd be like, I'm going to the beach, and I'd come over and look and see him in the water. And so
it's life changing.
It really, and it gives you such an amazing feeling because it's us going back to where we were in the beginning, which was in the water in our mother's stomach, right? That's that safe space and that amniotic sac or whatever. But I just wanted to say that for people who are really struggling, thinking like I'm stuck and I can't go anywhere and I can't do that. I can't go to LA like whatever you guys are talking about, or Barbados. I am a firm believer you can do anything you put your mind to.
Yeah.
And the universe will support that.
You got to want to do it.
Yeah, until you take a step in that direction, it won't happen. But once you do whatever it is that you want to do, you'll start to see so many things line up for you.
Yeah.
Even this is something I've wanted to do for a long time. I talked to you guys about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, we could do that. We're going to do that. And we're here, sitting here right now doing it. But that was before I think moved back to LA, where this was something that I was talking about wanting to do.
Yeah.
So I just believe you put your mind to it, it'll happen.
It's a lot that comes with it, because this studio was one way, and something happened. And this is almost, people say, okay, it's almost like you guys rebuild. No, I can say I didn't have the energy to rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
But I still wanted to do the podcast. I knew the podcast is something I want to do, but I guess I can't say really just trauma. It was a certain energy, but it happened. So a lot of you'll have those times where there's some things that you might kind of want to do and then you don't want to do it. I really wanted to build it, but do I really want to rebuild it? Like how as bad as I wanted to build it, and it's like no. But I really want the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So the podcast definitely stuck. That's no doubt. It's going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we did still have, the whole room and the previous setup. But, I put my mind to it and the podcast is here.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Consistent self-improvement.
Now, music, I took that and put that on a whole nother shelf.
Right.
But,
but you're still a musician.
Yeah, I could say I could still do it. I looked at a video the other day and enjoyed it, but the same energy,
right? It's different, right? I feel like
we
we lead different lives, right? Like in my past life, I was a social worker. And I was also a server. Like I've had so many jobs. People are like, "Oh yeah, I know you already did that before." Because I say, "Yeah, I did that," but that's about exploring. Your desires. A title doesn't make you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But when I met you, definitely you were a musician. And I still see you that way. But you have also evolved into so many other things, right?
Yeah.
You're a podcast producer, a husband. You're a California resident.
I'm a house husband, right? I take the house husband title.
Okay, house husband. But yeah, it's about evolution. It's about evolution.
But yeah, the house husband thing is going pretty good right now in 2021.
Hey, I'm not mad at it. I remember when we used to talk about what we thought the future was going to look like for music with you and what you wanted to do with it. And this is not exactly what we discussed.
No.
But at the same time, it's exactly what we discussed because you wanted to touch people with your message.
Yeah.
And this is what you're doing.
And I'm going to still get back to the probably the record label foundation type thing that I wanted to do then. I probably still do something like that in Mississippi in the future, but that's then. I know the energy may come back then, but it's after I'm done with this. And it'll be associated probably.
Yeah.
With this or tied into it, But I don't really want to push the whole, I know music, we all need music. I need it still I listen to old stuff, other artist stuff, and understand the importance of why it's necessary and how I could still inspire other people with what I do. But it's just a different time, and music, it's a different magic now. It was a magic back then. It's used on a different vibration now. And I've learned a lot of things to where I know, okay, I need a little silence for a while.
Mm-hmm. I get that.
And because when you do music, you kind of you got a lot of noise going often. You got to go through sounds. You got to listen to stuff. You got to, your brain is really going when you're doing music, especially when you're producing it, writing it, performing it. Yeah, your brain is nonstop. So that's something that I've gotten out of this break, that piece that, of course, it's basically anxiety, with the whole music thing. So God gave me the sign, gave us the sign, hey, all right, chill out for a minute. Get some silence. Don't listen to nothing like that. Don't worry about listening to music. Don't have to. Just chill out. Got a little peace of mind. Learn how to, quiet down. Do some things that don't require music.
And
And
go from there.
start over.
Check.
Yep, start over. Learn something. Create more genuine relationships. And that's one of the things. It's just relationships with people, better energy when I'm not introducing myself as a musician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. I totally get that. I mean, on this end, moving away from community organizing after working for the Obama campaign and several other different campaigns, you get put in a box where people have this expectation that that's what you do, because that's what you've always done and you're good at it. So why would you stop doing it? Because especially in our society, it's like you keep doing whatever it is that you started doing until you are at the top of that thing.
Yeah.
And don't look back to say, oh, you want to veer, you want to be a chef, but you went to law school, right? You can't do that.
Until you realize, you've been in the wrong building. I've been going up the wrong building, man. I was supposed to be in the other building. I didn't know.
Maybe you're supposed to go to that building for a reason to learn something.
Yeah.
For the next thing.
And you can take that with you.
Yeah.
You can be you can be a great chef who knows all about how you want to do the contracts for any of the clients or vendors that you work with.
Yeah.
All of those skills are transferable. But I think when we have so many expectations placed upon us of what you should do, or like the fear of starting over, or the fear of going in another direction, or that's not what we were taught to do, then it can paralyze you to force you to keep doing the same thing, even though it's against what you don't want to do.
You want to do something else and don't get the support. That mess when you want to do that new thing and
there's no support.
There's no support for it, right?
Most of the time, they're just scared, for you. They're like, oh, why would you want to go through that uncomfortable, phase of changing directions?
Yeah. I think that our parents and grandparents are and great-grandparents, all the people that basically came before us, to me, are some of the most brave people.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the most brave people. But now that they've aged, that courage and bravery, because of what they've seen, has turned into, hey, just chill, right?
I totally see that.
And so when they see you being brave and courageous and taking risks, it's like, no, you got it good. Just keep on doing the safe route.
Yeah.
But they forgot how much courage and bravery it took for them to get where they got in order to inspire you. Yeah, I see that with my dad. Not my mom as much. She's still a bit of a rebel rouser, but my dad just be like, just chill. Yeah, my mom might call and be like, "I'm looking at a protest on TV. Are you there?" Like anytime some breaking news happens, it's like, "I'm looking at DC. There's a riot in the Capitol. Are you there?" Like, no, Mom, I'm not there this time. Yeah, I was there last week. I left, but whatever.
Yeah, but the world is getting better on the inside, and it's still gonna always do a thing on the outside. So you definitely got to learn how to, like you said, that balance. Find the balance of your inner peace and your fuck it.
For real.
That.
For real.
Yeah.
Find the balance of your inner peace and your fuck it.
Yeah.
That's the words to live by.
Because, man, there's a lot of stuff out here that, woo, you just walk through downtown L.A. and, you're going to realize, look, man, for today, fuck it. I can't give money to all the homeless people I see.
No. Shit. I mean, you'll be homeless.
Man.
You keep funding their projects. It's true.
And that's a whole nother topic we can have on them. We didn't fill in for connecting Jackson to Los Angeles, but that's going to be a good one.
We do have to discuss that.
I don't know how long we done already ran, but it's been a great 15.
One. Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't even know.
It's been an easy one.
Yeah.
A real easy one.
Mm-hmm. Ditto.
But we appreciate, everybody for listening. We will be having another conversation. Even the cameras have turned off. We will be having another conversation with Mercedes very soon, a regular conversation.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you guys again for having me.
And it is the day before that day, St. Nick's Day.
Oh,
I mean, no, I'm before Kwanzaa. I'm sorry. For Kwanzaa Crank Up, the days before Kwanzaa Crank Up. A lot of people like Kwanzaa. Yes.
Who that? My cousin named Kwanzaa.
But it's been a very beautiful day. Partly cloudy in LA with a lot of good enough sunshine for today.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, New Year's 2022.
Man.
2022. And 2021 was the shit for us. I don't know about y'all, but we had a very prosperous 2021. Drove cross country and made it back. We will be talking about that next week on American Gypsy Podcast Season 2. We are in the building.
Yep.
In the building.
You can also tune in on YouTube, American Gypsy YouTube channel. And you can find more information about our podcast on AmericanGypsy.com. AmericanGypsy.com. That's AmericanGypsy.com. Also, follow us on Instagram at American Gypsy Podcast. We were hacked at a couple of 100 followers, maybe. So at I Am American Gypsy is a hacked account. Do not follow that. At American Gypsy Podcast is the official. Account.
So follow us. Also follow us on YouTube, American Gypsy YouTube. We have plenty of videos. Also check out season 1.
Yeah, make sure to like and share with your friends and family.
Yes.
Please do that.
And again, thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed this conversation that we've had. And hey, Happy New Year, happy holidays, and wish everyone a prosperous 2022. Rest of 2021. But we'll talk to y'all for 2022.
Just breathe.
Consistent self-improvement.
Peace.
Peace.